Hello kiddies, welcome to another online dogfight video with some Tacview analysis. The last one I did was quite popular, so I'm going to continue with this style of video. The screenshot here has nothing to do with the video itself, so don't get too excited. I have included in this video a number of bits of analysis which are scattered throughout, so it's not a very fluid video, but hopefully it still tells a bit of a story. Also, as requested, I have included in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen the little DCS graphic which shows my control inputs. I normally don't have that visible because I don't like the way it takes up screen real estate, but people have requested it so they can see what I'm doing with my controls, so it's there for those who want it. Let's get on with the video then and enjoy the sortie and the analysis, and I'll see you in the comments below.
Right, ready when you are.
Okay, nice and gentle, throttling forward. Ben, I'll make about 150-degree right turn.
Roger.
Contact, 3 o'clock. Dropping the tank. Tank, contact below 3 o'clock. He's just coming up underneath me now, 3 o'clock low. Yeah, I think it's hostile. He's climbing up underneath us now. He's trying to get guns on, but he can't. I'm going left. He's shooting at you.
Oh, I've been hit. Got my 6.
Yeah, I see him.
Stalling out, he's dropping. There's your clear.
Going up again?
Yeah, Roger, I'm dropping now. In a left-hand turn, I think he's got eyes on you, Phil. He's dropping back in.
Did carry a lot of speed into that climb up on us. Guns? Unbelievable. He hit me then.
Did he really?
Yep.
I lost him in the ground clatter. He's underneath.
Oh, I think I see someone going up. Is that you?
I've just rolled over.
Okay, I'm behind you. I don't see him.
I've lost him. Going back up.
Yeah, I'm going in a right-hand turn over the centre of the river. Last side of him. I'm going to stop the fight here and go back over the first section of this engagement. I figured that the point where we lost sight of the bandit is a pretty good point to just cover progress so far. I've tried to do this analysis about 3 times already, and the 2.5 minutes or so of engagement resulted in 20 minutes of discussion last time. So I'm going to try and keep this short if I can. Here is Fatben and I, and we're over the river mouth at Le Havre. We've been climbing up since we got airborne, steadily climbing the whole time at about 180 to 200 miles per hour. It is at about this point where I see the contact approaching from our west, and it is Pavlich, who we've come across in my previous Dogfight Analysis video. Pavlich is an incredibly good pilot. This guy is dangerous all the time, and we'll see that a bit later. Now, he's elected to climb very quickly after he got airborne. I don't know if you can see back there where my cursor is on the YouTube video, but he goes into a very, very steep climb. He climbs up to this altitude here, which I'm guessing is about, well, can we find out here? Probably about 5,000 feet lower than us anyway. And then he flies level. So he just flies with airspeed at the altitude he wants to fight at. Whereas we just kept climbing and climbing and climbing. So when we meet, he will actually be faster than us. And that's important. Let's press play and see how this happens. Now, I go into a right turn here with Ben staying with me at about the time we spot the contact. And Ben does not have sight of the contact. There's me dropping my slipper tank. Ben does not drop his tank. According to Tacview anyway, I didn't see anything dropping out from Ben. And there's a this is the first time he's flown with the tank, so I think maybe he was unsure how to drop it, but it may have dropped and maybe Tacview doesn't know about it, but I don't see anything dropping away. He may end up low on speed later as a result. We go around to the right. Ben has no sight of the hostile, but he's sitting relatively close to me. And at this point, he just does a little left wing down for a second. And because I'm turning a right, he suddenly gets quite far on the outside of my turn. And that was a bit of a mistake. I think what he should have done is just tucked right in next to me and stayed with me, and we'll find out why I say that in a minute. We go around. Pavlich comes underneath us, rolls his aircraft to the right, and then pulls his nose up very steeply and gets right around on Ben's 6 and gets some shots away. Now, Ben is on way outside the turn relative to me. I'm inside the turn, and I've in fact already gone left wing down, and I'm S-bending back towards Ben. I think if Ben had stayed with me right on my tail through this maneuver, he'd be up here right now, rather than out here. And that, I think, is what enables him to give the angle to Pavlich, who makes a shot. Pavlich's shots go wide. Ben and Pavlich continue going up. Then Ben rolls back. Pavlich gets off a couple more shots, and this is the point where Ben says in the video he's been hit. According to Tacview, there were no strikes, so I'm not quite sure whether he was or was not hit. But Tacview says no, but Ben says he was hit. This is where Pavlich also runs out of energy. And you can see he wobbled there. He did a quick left-right wing roll. Ben has now got energy, and so do I. Pavlich goes into a dive. So he's popped up, and now he's dropping back away. He knows he can outdive us, so he's going, right, I'll go for airspeed, try and shake these Spitfires. Unfortunately, he drops right underneath me, and I'm able to get some shots off, which I don't hit, and then I do this massive lag climb. So he goes up, and I just leave a huge amount of lag between him and me. He's up at my 10 o'clock high position at this point. But I don't mind that, because I know I've got tons and tons of airspeed. He goes up and then rolls over. So instead of me going up and following him down, I just roll wings perpendicular to the horizon. In fact, I think I overroll, so I'm slightly inverted. And I cut the corner to stay in touch with him. So this is where I'm cutting the corner. And by the time he's rolled back, he's almost on top. I'm almost on top of him. And he just goes underneath me. So then we go back into the same pattern again. He goes up and over, and I just go as far as the horizon. Then I go wings perpendicular, and I go horizontal around the bend to cut off the corner. Down he goes again. Ben dives in for an attack, but that's probably just to keep him busy more than anything. Pavlich is in the vertical, now I'm in the horizontal, but I've got tons of energy here, so I can quickly catch up to him and get right in close, and that's where I get the very first hits. which causes him, I think, to panic a little bit. He does a full roll, and there's a really interesting maneuver. Okay, yeah, I talk about this in the video because it gave me one hell of a surprise. So I was closing on him, and I'd got my shots away there, and I hit him. And he goes up. He's very low on energy. This is where I should have been more aware of what was going on, because he went up vertical, very low on energy. He can quickly just tip over and drop back down, almost in the same location. And I let him get too high and almost behind me. He's already rolling over. I probably should have just kept flying level at that point and waited for him to drop behind me a bit before yanking the stick up. I think I pulled up on the stick too early, and I basically just pulled my aircraft straight up into his line. Ducka, ducka, ducka. He gets some hits, and it looks like he hits the main fuselage section of my airplane. Something did drop away, but I'm unclear about what that was, and it didn't seem to affect my aircraft's fighting capabilities. But because I've got such superior airspeed here, I just keep going up, and then he has to go evasive as Ben comes in for a pass. Now we're both kind of following him. Ben's relatively tight, and I've got a bit of energy here, but he's at this point he's 3 kilometers away, so he's quite far off. And at this point, Ben and I lose sight of him, and we start discussing the fact that we need to reform. So there we are, trying to reform. So that's the first section of this flight. We started off at about 18 to 20,000 feet, something like that. I don't recall exactly. That initial turn right with that sharp turn, we made a couple of mistakes there, and we got ourselves in trouble. And then we managed to kind of keep our energy advantage because he bled all his off, and we followed him all the way down. A little mistake from me where I got hit, but at the moment we're still in control of the fight. There are 2 of us, 1 of him, and we still have the height advantage, and we turn away to reform as we lose sight of him. Ah, he's climbing up underneath you, I think. Behind you.
I'm heading towards you.
Yeah, he's on my 12 low down by the river now. He's going over the river, and now he's climbing up.
Are you passing underneath me?
Yeah. Diving on a 6. He's turning in front of me now. I think he's lost an aileron. Still on him. He's fighting with his flaps down the whole time. Yeah, he's lost the right aileron.
I've cut inside. Oh no, he's rolled back over.
That's got him surely. Okay, good hits. Keep your eye open for arrivals, more arrivals. I don't see anything, but we could end up getting bounced here.
Got to be going in now.
Yeah, he's out. Okay, let's go straight up the river and climb. Let's then proceed from the point where we just about reacquire visual contact with Pavlich. Ben and I have sight of each other and we are attempting to rejoin, and I think if we hadn't have caught sight of him within the next minute or so, we would have ended up flying up towards Le Havre and probably headed home. I was a bit conscious that the initial fight had taken up some time and enemy aircraft could possibly be arriving soon, so I didn't really want to hang around in this area for terribly much longer. But it was quite soon afterwards that I saw Pavlich climbing up underneath Ben, it seemed, so I put the nose down. Ben's way above, he's got good energy relative to both of us, and I just did a bit of a descent. I had my nose pointing below him. I wanted to make sure I gained as much airspeed as I could, and then Pavlich goes into this right turn just as I'm closing. In another video recently about am I ready for multiplayer, I talked about this overshoot situation when you know you can't get guns on the guy and you're not sure whether you should press home and attack, risking collision, or overshoot and getting in front of him. So what I did was, I did what I discussed in that video, just pull the nose up, convert that extra airspeed that I've got into altitude, and up I go. And then I can place him underneath me with a half roll, and I can roll inverted and dive on him. So there I go, inverted roll, nose down, and then roll wings level, and I'm on his 250 meters behind. It's at this point that I think I realized that he was missing some parts on his right wing, trailing edge. And I thought he at first had his aileron missing. It may just be that because the flaps I think were down. I'm not sure if they were down at this point, but I was unclear about exactly what was going on with his right wing at this stage. If we just check the video at this point, when we go into this dive, so here we are, I'm rolling. He's 250 meters in front of me. That's what it looks like when an aircraft is 250 meters in front. That's convergence range in the DCS Spitfire. The convergence is not adjustable. Well, it's within QE of convergence range. And if we look at the Tacview here, that's about the point there. So 200 yards to 250 yards in front. In fact, let's go with 200 meters. So that's about the point I should be opening up. What I should have done is quickly pulled my nose up to there, just slightly left and in front of him. You can see he's just going slightly left and up, and tried to pull the trigger there. But I took my time with this, and I probably wasted this opportunity. He goes up in front of me, and I open up just as he's starting to roll out. Then I adjust with the rudder, I get the gun sight on him, and I fire again, and I hit. In the video, which I'm going to play here, first shots, I miss. Second shots, I hit. But those second shots didn't look like hits in the video. They were hits according to Tacview, so I'm guessing it was just 1 or 2 rounds. Now in Tacview, it looks like I had plenty of time for this. Here he is. We're playing at half speed, remember. It looks like, take the shot there, take the shot there. So I should pull the nose up and get the shot, and then it's too late, he's rolling, and then I should take the second shot and hit him. But when you look at the video, it happens very quickly. Let's just go back. Tacview makes it look like you've got more time. Here he is coming up. So I do pull the stick up. Now I'm pulling up, trying to get a shot. But by the time I've pulled the stick up, because my aircraft wobbled a bit, he's already started the roll. So I miss. And then I hit. So sometimes Tacview can be a bit misleading. It makes you think you've got more time than actually you did. Anyway, let's continue. He goes into this dive, and I lag him in this dive. I'm not so fussed about pulling back on the aileron so hard to keep him in my gun sight. Back to the video again just quickly. You can see I'm happy to lag. He's in fact right up here. And I think I've got relatively low throttle. I'm not sure. It sounds quite heavy. Yeah, I think I'm following him at pretty high throttle. And I'm just lagging him a fraction there because I'm trying to manage the blackout. So here we go. He's down. I'm closing to 150 meters here. I'm well within guns range, but I'm managing the blackout at this point, and he's trying to get me round in this very steep loop. And at that point, I can't follow him, but I do it again, converting that little bit of energy to altitude. I just lag him in that roll, or the loop. There's no need for me to get my gun sights on him until I get a good, clean shot. This is where I think he drops the flaps, or at least it becomes obvious that he's got the flaps down, and he really turns. It is amazing, and I think he's missing a right aileron too, or it seemed like it, and he just turns and turns and turns. I'm like, crappity crap. Now, I could try and stay with him in that turn, and I probably would be able to, but I think it's good in this instance when these guys really yank those German aircraft round into tight horizontal turns. That's our chance to just go up and gain a little bit of altitude. So I'm quite happy for him to sit underneath me, 500 meters below me, and go round in circles, because this is my chance to gain some energy. The Spitfire can turn. I've got inside him here a wild shot, which is a bit silly. And then he changes his course and goes left. So I roll left, and I think I kicked in some rudder here just to roll over quickly. It looks like he's got a bit of advantage, but not really. He's 100 yards above me, just off my 10 o'clock high. All I need to do is roll left. He's trying to scissor me here because he wants me to overshoot. So I go up. And then I can just roll back down, and he's directly underneath me. So now we're back in that same situation, 150 yards behind on him. He's doing this tight turn again, but I'm catching him in the turn. Just catching him. I think I pull lead for a second, get some shots away, yep. And then he comes to a dead stop in front of me, almost, because he rolled left again. I think he was trying to get me to overshoot, but I was managing my airspeed enough so that I wouldn't overshoot at this point. Now, let's not forget that Ben has also been here the whole time. He's been following me about another 150 yards, 200 yards behind. I keep saying yards, I mean meters. 200 meters behind. So this is a really nice example of wing pair flying. I get the shots on him just as he pretty much stalls in front of me, and I think this is also where I hit his engine and he starts smoking. So I pull off. I break off the target. Ben is right in behind me at this point. I'm off the target and Ben is on. The guy, the unfortunate Pavlich here, he just gets no respite. One Spitfire's off and the second one is right there pouncing. Ben gets some shots and gets some hits as well. Here's where I make a mistake. I get complacent. I see that the enemy aircraft has just been hit twice. He is smoking. And I get complacent. What I should have done at this point is quickly pull the aircraft back around and got right back on his 6 straight away, but I don't. I start talking about checking the airspace for other enemies. I get complacent too early, and there's an interesting sort of dichotomy here. You can often be criticized for attacking aircraft that look like they are already out of the fight. That's aircraft that are on fire or belching smoke. If you go and attack them, there are certain elements of the flight sim community who will criticize you for doing that. However, my theory is you should hammer away at an opponent until he is absolutely out of the fight. That means bailed out / crashed. We've all seen it so many times that a heavily wounded aircraft will suddenly turn, go aggressive, and get shots on you because you got complacent and you didn't finish him. And this is where I failed to finish him. We both failed to finish him essentially here. Got complacent, started looking around. I'm relaxing my flying here. I've stopped flying like I'm in a combat situation and my life depends on it. And he does this fantastic move. He makes a quick turn, gains a little bit of height, and suddenly we're on a head-on situation. This is a 50-50 situation. I should not be in this place. Unfortunately for him, I was just able to get some hits on him. And that was the blow that eventually, I think, killed the pilot. Not sure. But he certainly went into a spin, an unrecoverable spin, and he crashed at that point. So there's tons of things to take away from this fight, these two segments of the fight. I'm hoping I've covered all the main stuff. There's probably loads of other things I've missed, other points that can be raised. But this was a superb little combat sequence, both parts of it. I hope people have learned from this. We'll get back to the video now because there is another combat sequence coming up as we make our way home. Ben and I now have to quickly reform, get out of this area because we've wasted a lot of time in the combat area. We've got no altitude. And this is what we do. We climb out towards the sea where actually another squad mate, Moby, who's just joined the game, he meets us up over the coast about 10 miles out to sea. Throttling back a bit too. 2700 RPM and about 8 pounds boost.
Going upstream or downstream?
Up towards the sun. Back up the way we came, downstream. I'm in front of you low. I'll just climb a bit.
Yeah,
you should see me.
Yeah, about your 1 second.
Okay, you're clear behind. God, those things can turn when they've got their flaps down, can't they?
Yeah.
Really, really tight. And the problem is they lose all their energy, but you know that the second they pull their flaps up and put the throttle on, they'll just get all that energy back again.
Yeah, a couple of less turns and that's it. They'll be out
Yep.
running away again, won't they?
I'm just clearing a 6. You look good back there. Nothing inbound. I'll do a few S-bends if you just continue straight up the river. He really whipped in behind us at that very first turn. He was low and he just yanked it up into this amazing corkscrew. Did you not see him when he climbed up underneath us?
No, I didn't see him. It's only...
I didn't think you had.
Oh, I saw him go underneath. I didn't think he'd be able to pull the nose up and get the guns on.
Yeah, neither
I just
did I.
sort of heard a knock on the back. I'm not damaged, but he sort of pulled up too steeply and stalled.
Well, at some point he broke an aileron off. I don't know if he touched me on his way through when I said I'd been hit. I don't know if that was a slight collision, but he seemed to be missing an aileron towards the end there.
I know I gave him a little skirt before, but I don't think I got him that bad.
Well, I've got some damage showing on my right wing. I don't know if it's costing me any speed, but it probably is. So I might start moseying back towards base, I think. I think if you or I had been alone then, he would have got one of us.
Yeah, I think so as well.
He was a damn fine pilot, that chap. I don't think I would have been able to stay with him in a fight if you hadn't been there. Contact at 1 o'clock, slightly lower, coming towards us, probably Moby.
Yep, I've got that contact. I've got you my
1 o'clock high?
Up is 12, yeah.
There's two there. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, there's a bit of dust on my screen.
Let's start your climbing right-hand turn now, Moby.
Copy.
Bit slow on that turn, Moby. You're going to end up way behind us.
Copy.
That's better. Okay, Kappa K's under attack, turning left. It's going to be easier for you too, Moby. You won't have to turn so far. We're going to go straight up the river here towards Kappa K.
Copy.
I'm increasing prop to about 2800 and boost to about 10 pounds. I see the airfield. I think there's one contact just passing over it. Can't be too sure though. Airfield's just on my 1 o'clock low.
Contact 1 o'clock low. Is that the one you want about, or is that Moby?
Contact
Wait, 11 o'clock low.
11 o'clock low. Contact seen. Tally, that'll be one of them. Okay, diving. Good spot, Ben. Beautiful. I'm just angling right a bit to try and cut him off. Could be a friendly.
Two there.
Gotcha. One going up left and one going up in front.
Yeah.
Okay, the left one, the lower one's hostile. Full throttle. He's about to roll over the top onto that other chap.
There's one low and one high.
Okay, I lost sight of this guy. Got you on my 6, Ben, but I don't see
No,
him.
I'm on your 6. I'm on your 6. He's gone
Yeah, I
high
know.
just behind.
Nah, that was Moby.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think he's down low somewhere here over the town. Ah, he's climbing up under your 6, I think, Ben. Yeah, he is. Go into a hard left. Go into a hard left brake. Go.
Broken left. I don't see him.
Shooting.
Oh, he's just fired. Yeah. Gone past. Still turning.
Yeah, he's off. Oh, he's still on you. I'm on him though. I'm right on his 6. He's busy for you.
Good hits. Still fixated on me.
Snapped him in half.
Lovely.
Okay, let's get to Benny. We can take a look at the final combat sequence of this video very soon. Here we are just off the coast near Beni-sur-Mer, just east of Beni-sur-Mer and north of Kapike. We've received a message from the server saying that there is an enemy aircraft over Kapike airfield. So we are vectoring straight towards it. We've got a bit of height and we go into a shallow dive to make sure we've got airspeed. Just prior to this, something to talk about. The merge, when we joined up with Moby, I instructed Moby to start turning very early, and you can see here we're flying along on opposite courses, and Moby puts his right wing down and starts to join up behind us, but he's very slow in his initial turn, and within 90 degrees of turn we've already gone past him, and by the time he's completed, let's say nearly 180 degrees, we actually turned left to make it a little bit easier for him. He's actually nearly a kilometre behind us, and he's never able to really recover that distance. If you are joining up with some mates and you're flying directly towards each other, you need to make your turn to join up with them about 2 kilometers away, maybe 3 kilometers away. You need to turn early and you need to turn quite hard. As you can see in this video, by the time you've finished your turn, you've burned up about 5 to 10 kilometers of separation. So just a tip for people, when joining up with friendly aircraft, make sure you do that turn early. Don't wait for them to start coming up at your 2 o'clock position. You need to turn when they're still way out on your 12. I may make a video on some tips for joining up One thing we often used to do is when you're flying towards each other, both sets of aircraft should then turn onto the same heading 90 degrees apart. If that doesn't make any sense, I can explain it in another video. Okay, so we press on here. We make our dive towards the enemy aircraft. I'm just going through this quite rapidly. And we make our first pass, but we've got tons of speed. The enemy aircraft here is a 109 being piloted by Affley, who's actually quite a good pilot. And I get hits on that very first pass. He just drops under me, and I go inverted, and according to Tacview here, I do get some hits. So ducka, 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 there we go. Probably very minor again. But we go up and into a turn. At this point, we are talking about how we've lost sight of him. Ben has stayed with me. He's done a fantastic job as a wingman, and credit for most of the second victory goes to Ben, actually, for performing his duties as a wingman. As we are in this left turn, me looking back to see Ben there, this is where I see Affley. And he is, according to this, 1.2 kilometres behind. And Ben is quite some way behind me too. There's a bit of a gap between us. So it would be clear to me that Ben is the more likely target for Affley. So what I want to do is I want to get Ben to turn around here. I want Affley to suck onto Ben, and then I can turn around behind them both. And that's exactly what we do. Start playing the video. I tell Ben to make a left-hand braking turn nice and tight. So I'm already making my left turn. So this enemy aircraft has already got his left wing down. So it's easy for him to continue a left-hand turn. And that's exactly what I want him to do. I tell Ben to go left. So Ben goes left. There he goes. He's left and he's inside me. So we need to pause about here. Zoom up. Here's the plan view. Ben has gone left, and I want him to fly across in front of Affley because I want Affley to turn onto him. Ben is now the bait. Ben trusts me here. You can hear in the audio he says yes, and he does what I ask. He completely trusts that I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. This is just years of flying together. Ben's very good at this job, and he does it perfectly here. He turns in, and he doesn't even see Affley. You can hear him saying, I can't see him. So he's completely just trusting that I know what the hell I'm talking about. At this point, Affley gets some shots off, which may be a little bit dangerous, but he doesn't hit Ben. And then Affley completes the turn, and bang. This is exactly the situation I wanted. I've climbed up. I'm now on top of both Ben and Affley, and I'm behind them both. Ben and I are flying the same aircraft. I can turn as well as Ben. So provided that Ben does some nice turning maneuvers, I will be able to stay with him and clear his 6. So here we go. Leader drops down. I am now in the number 2 position. I'm on Ben's 6, but that also means I'm on Affley's 6. And it's a pretty simple job now of just following Affley around in the left turn. Eventually I pull lead. I get some hits. I get some more hits. Affley is unable to follow Ben, but I am able to follow Affley. I just stay with him. More hits, more hits, more hits, and it's done. So this was over very quickly, and the story here is teamwork and the wingman trusting his leader. We've got experience. This kind of trust always takes time, but Ben did his job. He put himself in a position where he was the bait, and I was to come in behind and get the victory. But this is definitely a victory I would say is shared. This was teamwork. So in both of those engagements that we saw in this video, the story here is a story of 2 of us versus 1 enemy, and using the numerical and energy advantage that we had to win those victories. In the first victory, it took a lot longer than I was hoping for. The second victory, this is how I like to execute. Straight in, a couple of turns, rat-a-tat-tat, get the victory, and then get the hell out of there. Going left into the downwind.
So hard to see the contacts with that green screen in front, isn't it?
Oh, it's a
I'm finding it
nightmare.
hard.
They need to sort that out. Okay, turning left onto final. Gear and flaps. Departing right.